The children's hospital was bustling with activity as doctors and nurses moved swiftly through the hallways. The walls were painted with vibrant murals of animals and superheroes, but they couldn't mask the somber undertones of the place. Children in wheelchairs and hospital beds filled the rooms, their laughter often mixed with the beeping of monitors. In the middle of this controlled chaos, a quiet buzz of excitement began to ripple through the staff. Whispers spread like wildfire. "He's here!" The doors opened, and Elon Musk walked in, dressed casually in jeans and a simple black jacket. He was flanked by two assistants, but his focus was solely on the children. No cameras, no press, no entourage. Just a man who had promised to make time for those who needed it most. A little girl named Mia, no older than 7, peeked from behind a curtain. She had lost her hair to chemotherapy, but her eyes sparkled with curiosity. She whispered to her nurse, "Is that the man who makes rockets?" Elon caught her gaze and crouched down to her level. "That's me," he said with a gentle smile. "Do you like rockets?" Mia nodded enthusiastically. "I want to go to Mars one day." Elon's smile widened. "Then you better get ready because we're going to need astronauts like you." As he moved through the hospital, Elon took time with every child he met. He listened to their dreams, told them stories about space, and even cracked a few jokes. For a moment, the children forgot about their pain and treatments. But then, he stopped abruptly outside one room. A boy named Alex, who had been in a coma for weeks, lay inside. His mother sat by his bedside, clutching his hand, her face etched with exhaustion and hope. "What's his story?" Elon asked the nurse softly. "He's been battling a rare illness," she replied. "The doctors are doing everything they can, but it's been tough." Elon stepped into the room, his expression thoughtful. He placed a hand on Alex's arm and said quietly, "Hang in there, buddy. The world's not done with you yet." The mother looked up, her eyes filling with tears. "Thank you for being here," she said. "It means more than you know." Elon nodded, his voice steady but emotional. "We're all in this together." But what he did next would leave everyone stunned. After leaving Alex's room, Elon turned to the hospital director, his expression unreadable. "What's the biggest challenge you face here?" he asked. The director hesitated, caught off guard by the question. "Funding," she admitted. "We do what we can with donations and government support, but it's never enough. Some of these kids need treatments their families can't afford." Elon nodded thoughtfully, his gaze distant for a moment before he refocused. "What about technology? How advanced is the equipment you're using?" The director sighed. "Not advanced enough," she said. "We're years behind some of the bigger hospitals. We've lost kids because we couldn't provide the care they needed in time." Elon's jaw tightened, and something flickered in his eyes, determination. "Show me," he said simply. The director led him through the hospital, pointing out outdated machines and explaining the gaps in care. Elon listened intently, occasionally asking sharp, pointed questions. It was clear he wasn't just making polite conversation. He was calculating, planning. At one point, they passed a boy named Ethan, who was struggling to breathe through an oxygen mask. His father sat beside him, looking utterly defeated. Elon stopped, kneeling beside the boy. "Hey, champ," he said softly. "What's your dream?" Ethan's voice was weak, but he managed to whisper, "To be a pilot." Elon smiled, his tone firm. "Then you hang in there, okay? Pilots don't give up." Ethan gave the faintest nod, and Elon squeezed his hand before standing. Turning to the director, his voice was steel. "This has to change," he said. "How long would it take to upgrade everything here if you had unlimited resources?" The director blinked, startled. "Unlimited? I don't know. Months, maybe, but that's impossible." Elon's lips curved into a small, determined smile. "Not for me." He pulled out his phone and began typing rapidly. His assistants exchanged glances but said nothing. They knew better than to interrupt when Elon was in this mode. Within minutes, he had arranged for a team of engineers, medical experts, and project managers to assess the hospital's needs. "We'll start with state-of-the-art equipment," he said, "but that's just the beginning." The director was stunned. "You're serious?" "Dead serious," Elon replied. "No child should lose their future because of a lack of resources. Not on my watch." But Elon wasn't done. His next move would leave the entire hospital speechless. As the staff watched in stunned silence, Elon made his way to the hospital's central courtyard, where a crowd of children, parents, and staff had gathered, curious about what he was up to. He climbed onto a small platform, his presence commanding yet approachable. With a calm but resolute voice, he addressed the crowd. "I came here today to meet some extraordinary young fighters," he began, his eyes scanning the faces of children and parents. "But what I've seen has moved me in ways I can't ignore." The room fell silent, every ear tuned to his words. "This isn't just a hospital," he continued. "It's a battlefield. And these kids are warriors fighting battles no one should have to face. They deserve the best tools, the best care, and the best chance at life. And starting today, I'm making sure they get it." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Elon revealed his plan. He announced a $50 million personal donation to the hospital, not just for new equipment, but for research, staff training, and covering the medical costs of families in need. But then he added something even more unexpected. "This isn't a one-time fix," he said. "We're building something bigger, a model for pediatric care that can be replicated across the country. We'll bring AI, robotics, and cutting-edge technology to revolutionize how we treat these kids." The crowd erupted in applause, tears streaming down the faces of parents and staff alike. But amidst the cheers, Elon noticed little Mia tugging on his sleeve. He leaned down, curious. "Does that mean you'll make rocket hospitals too?" she asked innocently, her big eyes full of wonder. Elon chuckled, his voice warm. "Not quite, Mia, but maybe one day we'll have hospitals that are just as advanced as rockets. And I promise, you'll be the first to see them." As he stood back up, a nurse approached, tears in her eyes. "You have no idea what this means to us," she said. Elon nodded, his tone serious. "I have an idea," he replied, "and this is just the start." But before the applause could settle, Elon stepped forward once more, holding up a hand to quiet the crowd. "There's one more thing," he said, his voice laced with a hint of mystery. The room held its breath as he unveiled a surprise that no one, especially the children, saw coming. Elon turned to his assistants, who nodded and stepped forward with a small tablet. He tapped on the screen, and a soft humming sound began to fill the courtyard. The crowd looked around, confused, until suddenly a group of small, sleek robots rolled into view. The children's eyes widened as the robots, no taller than a table, stopped in front of them. Each robot had a cheerful digital face, and their movements were almost playful. "These," Elon said, "are companions we've been developing at Tesla and Neuralink. They're designed to bring joy, assistance, and comfort to children in hospitals." The robots began to interact with the kids, projecting holographic images of galaxies, playing cheerful tunes, and even engaging in simple games. One robot rolled up to Ethan, who had been struggling to breathe earlier. It softly projected an image of a cockpit, complete with controls, and a gentle voice said, "Welcome aboard, Captain Ethan. Ready to fly?" For the first time in days, Ethan smiled. "These bots," Elon continued, "aren't just toys. They can monitor vitals, provide mental stimulation, and even assist nurses with tasks. And the best part? Each child here gets their own companion, free of charge." The crowd was stunned into silence, and then the courtyard erupted in cheers and applause. Parents wept openly, seeing their children laugh and engage with something other than pain and treatments. Mia's robot projected a Mars landscape, complete with a rover. She clapped her hands in delight. "It's like being on Mars already." Elon smiled, watching the scene unfold, but his expression grew thoughtful as he addressed the crowd one last time. "This isn't about me," he said, his voice steady. "It's about what we can achieve when we stop seeing limits and start seeing possibilities. These kids reminded me of that today. They're the real innovators, the real dreamers, and they deserve every chance to make those dreams come true." With that, Elon stepped back, letting the moment belong to the children and their families. The hospital had transformed, not just physically, but emotionally. For the first time in a long time, hope wasn't just a word. It was something you could see, touch, and believe in. As Elon walked out of the hospital, unnoticed this time amidst the joyful chaos, he glanced up at the sky and muttered under his breath, "Let's see how far we can take this." And with that, he disappeared into the night, leaving behind a legacy that would echo far beyond those hospital walls.